Okay, so I know you've been wondering about this for years. It's something that it's kind of like the elephant in the room, and I'm just going to go ahead and address it right here, right now. And here it goes. What is a new car dealer with a twist, which is me? You know, I'm one of those car dealers that tells you like it is, and also is a podcaster, radio show host for a show called My Car Guru. What does he keep around him in his office? What kind of things, if you just look around his office, what would you see? You know, there's a lot of people that over the years, since I've been doing this for like 25 or more, I don't remember the exact first show I did, somewhere between 25 and 30 years ago. Okay? That's a lot of talking. But anyway, so a lot of these people, they come down from the Tri-Cities, and we just have the best time. We meet each other face to face, and I've had several of them say, "Hey, just say a few words so I know it's you." And so I do that, and then we all have a laugh. And then they come back to my office, and they go, "Wow, this is a lot of stuff." So I'm just going to tell you, if you haven't been here, let me give you an example. You ready? Okay. So I look to the right. There's my dad's CB radio and his shortwave radio. Do I use them? No. I just look at them. There's a autographed picture of Dale Earnhardt at Daytona Motor Speedway. Matter of fact, I believe that's the wall that he hit when he died. Isn't that depressing? There's also a valve cover right in front of Dale there. It's a valve cover off of a 327 V8 out of a, 1967 Corvette. Yes, that is office decor for a car guru. Let's see, what else do I say? Oh, there's a bicycle in my office. It's not just any bicycle. It was my bicycle. In 1968, my dad took me and my brother to John's Cyclery on Route 60 in St. Albans, West Virginia. Said, "Boys, it's time. You've saved a little money. Let's go buy some bikes." I was thrilled. I walked into the door, and it was like I heard angels singing because I saw this bicycle. It's red. It has a banana seat. It has shock absorbers on the rear end of the banana seat, high-rise handlebars, and a gear shift right there on the crossbar. It's called a apple crate. It was part of the Schwinn crate bikes. They had orange crate, apple crate, lemon peel. One of them was called a lemon peeler, and I don't remember all the different names, but yeah. It's in my office, part of my decor. There's also a very tall metal cabinet that I'm looking at. It used to be a key cabinet back in the 30s. It would be something that you would, well, if you went to a gas station and you said, "Hey, I need to cut a key," when they would walk up to this cabinet or one just like it and pull out a key blank and cut you a new key. It probably had some type of lathe on it or something. So anyway, that's been completely restored. Some of the metal sides have been knocked out and replaced with glass, and it's got a bunch of Tonka toys in it. Why would I have Tonka toys in my cabinet? Because I used to play with them. I'm looking at one right now. Looks like about a 1965 International Scout with a snowplow on it. It's in the top position in this cabinet. Okay, I look to the left. I bet there's probably 500 brochures laying all over this table. These are brochures from the 50s all the way up through the 70s, part of a collection that I inherited. And this is just a sampling of it. There's also a reel-to-reel tape player. You know what that is? Well, they used to use them. Well, this one was used at the radio station that's actually broadcasting this show. I went into the recording studio to do some commercials one day, and I said, what do you do with those reel-to-reels? Well, we don't use them anymore. I said, well, I would love to buy one of those for my office. For your office? Yeah, I'd like to have one for my office. Why? Because I just like stuff like that. It's just something to display. And I'd be willing to pay for it. Well, I go up there the next week, and the reel-to-reel is sitting in the front foyer, where they greet customers at the radio station, and it had a little sticky note on it and said, "For Lenny Lawson." And so I went to the station manager and I said, "How much do I owe you?" And she said, "Nothing. Just take it." And it's heavy. And it's on display in my office. I've had customers come in and say, "What's that for? Do you play it?" And I said, "No." "Well, what's it there for?" "To look at." It just brings comfort. Okay, on top of the cabinet to the left is a motorcycle helmet. That was my brother's motorcycle helmet. It's got stars and stripes on it. It looks like the one from Easy Rider. You remember the movie Easy Rider? The chopper, the chopper had the red, white, and blue flag on it. It was, who was that? Peter Fonda's, was it Peter Fonda? It was a Fonda. And my brother wanted that helmet when he used it to ride his 1970 Yamaha 125 Enduro that had a whopping 11.5 horsepower. Was it in my office? Same thing. It's a problem. And then the final thing, there's a whole bunch more stuff, but the final thing I mentioned to you, there's a little sign here that is probably one of my most prized possessions. And it says Lawson's Dress Shop. No, I didn't have a dress shop. My dad didn't have a dress shop, but his mom did. It was in Ripley, West Virginia, and for a while in Princeton, West Virginia. When my dad moved down there, she opened a dress shop down there. But she did that for many, many years. And this was it looks like it's made out of brass. Somebody's mounted it on a piece of wood, and I've got it in my cabinet, in my bookcase here. And it's just another one of those things that I like looking at. So, from a recommendation standpoint, as if I am qualified to make a recommendation, I like keeping things around me that mean something to me. Behind me is the TV cabinet for our first TV that we had when I lived in West Virginia. And it's a piece of furniture. There's no TV in it anymore. No, my mom and dad could not throw it away. So he took the TV out, threw it away, and turned it into a cabinet, to put. Right now it's just full of pictures. So I don't care how hard your family works on you to try to force you to get rid of things that you love and that you surround yourself with. But resist it. It's your stuff. It means something to you. It's none of their business. When you die, it will become their problem. Until then, they need to mind their own business. Okay, I'll be back in just 1 minute. Okay, I am back. One of the functions of this office, my office, is as a psychiatry office. I have to do a lot of psychological counseling. And sometimes it's with people who bought cars somewhere else, and, they're trying to figure out how to get out of it, which most of the time they can't. And, we investigate how they got into it and maybe learn some lessons from it so that they don't do it again. But other times might be a friend, to come in to just shoot the breeze and talk, and there's a lot of that. But many times it's an employee who's struggling. And it's funny how so many of the excuses that I hear from these young people, this particular person that I talked to the other day was 23 years old. Well, I went to college when I was 17, graduated at 21, got married at 21, and started running the entire service department, body shop, and parts department at my dad's dealership. Why did I get that job? Probably because my dad owned the dealership. I'm not naive, but I was prepared. I paid bills. I bought a house. I didn't get any help. Nobody co-signed for me or anything. I did it myself. But I'm telling you, folks, the maturity levels of some of these younger people. I mean, I see it even up into their 30s. It's like they don't have any real grasp of what reality is really like. And that was kind of the case. I mean, the excuse that I heard, for example, of a technician the other day, he's having a hard time getting to work on time. And my service manager wanted me to talk to him, so I brought him in and we talked. And I said, well, why can't you get to work on time? And he said, well, I set my alarm clock. And okay, so when it goes off, what do you do? He said, well, sometimes I don't hear it. Or I turn it off and I lay my head back down and, it's, the childhood excuses just keep going. It's just like the dog ate my homework kind of a deal. And then he turns around and says, I want a guarantee. What do you want to guarantee? I want to guarantee that I'm going to make a certain amount of money. Now, this person happens to be a mechanic that's like all the other mechanics. They're paid on a plan we call flat rate. And how is it determined? Well, like for every job that a car dealer can do to a car, there is a book. It's really digital now, but it used to be a printed book. You open it up and it's a labor time guide. And so if you had to replace an alternator, you look it up and right there's how much time it takes. And it may take longer to replace an alternator on one vehicle than it does on another vehicle. Alternator is probably a bad choice. But, a water pump, for example, some of them are internal to the front of the engine and some aren't. There's all different kinds of configurations. But for each different operation and for each different make and model, there's a certain amount of time. So it may pay 3 hours to do a particular job or 8 hours, to maybe replace a transmission, pull one out, put another one in. And so if they have 8 flat rate hours, then you multiply that by their flat rate pay rate, which may be $25 to $35 an hour, then that's how they get paid. And so if you're a technician, you want to have more flat rate hours than you have clock hours. You want to generate, if you're a good technician, you will generate probably 110% in flat rate hours of your clock time. And that's how really good technicians make big money. I had one last week, one of my technicians was 172% of clock time. And I went back and talked to him when I saw that, and I said, how'd you do this? He said, man, I just work. I just work hard, and he has no comebacks. So it's not like he's going really fast and doing lousy work. No, he does really good work. And I am so glad to have him. But this other guy won't show up to work on time, doesn't have the best attitude, fusses a lot, complains a lot, wants a guarantee. And I'm sorry, but that's not how you get one. Doesn't the work need to come first? Doesn't the production need to come first before you get a guarantee? A lot of people say, well, I work harder if they pay me more. No, you won't. You won't work any harder than you're working now. You may for a day or two. But no, the only people that I know of, the only type of jobs I know of where people should, and many do, work harder because of a pay plan are the people that are on commission. Like a salesperson, for example, a new car salesperson. They start every month at zero. They have no idea what they're going to make in a given month. And many times their pay plans are based on the number of cars that they sell. It could be specific vehicles that the dealership is pushing because of age or, because they have too many of a particular model. They may pay more flat commission on those particular vehicles, or salespeople are paid on a percentage of the profit that's made on the vehicle. And typically that's anywhere from 25 to 35% of the gross profit made on the vehicle. That will be their commission. So basically they're incentivized two ways. Number one, they need to sell more cars, and the cars that they sell, they want them to be profitable. But that's harder and harder now than it used to be because of just how competitive it is, because of the internet, because of the pricing that's available online. If you want to be competitive, you've got to find out what your competitors are pricing their vehicles for. and be at or below them. And that's really tough when a salesperson greets a customer and they've been shopping all over the place and they come in and said, if you don't beat this price, I'm going somewhere else. And the salesperson, especially an inexperienced salesperson, is just dumbfounded. They just don't know what to say. And what they really need to do is say, that's great, Mr. Customer. I am glad you've done a lot of research. Now, my job will be to help you choose the right vehicle, one that you like, that you feel comfortable with, and we can test drive some different things, and then I'm sure that we'll be able to get together on price. Doesn't that sound helpful? You don't just immediately take a customer to the vehicle that they were interested in, pull it out, and bill it out, and take their money. It just doesn't work that way. I wish it was really, it's kind of like going to Ingles, to a grocery store, Kroger, whatever, and just you need bread, you go to the bread aisle, you grab a loaf of bread, you go up and pay for it. That's not what this business is, and I don't even know that it should be, because we're talking about, average selling price of right around $50,000 now, and that's a big investment. The customer maybe have done a lot of research online, but they've never driven one. They don't know what it drives like. They don't know what it rides like. That's the job of a professional salesperson. He doesn't have to be a professional negotiator. If he does a great job building value in the product, building value in the dealership, and making the people respect him. Would you rather buy a car from somebody that you liked and respected? I mean, that's how I have, over the years, gotten so much repeat and referral business is, because the people like us and they respect our business and they know we try hard. And even my best customers, I might have had them come in and we've done a repair and we messed it up, or they had to come back a second time. I mean, they give us some grace because they understand that we put in the effort and we treat them with respect. We give them a loaner car and we apologize and we'll get it right. I mean, I've had people that had just lemons. I mean, legitimate lemons. And usually those people will never darken your door again because they blame you. They say they don't, but they blame you. And I have, over the years, it's much harder now to get a vehicle bought back, but over the years I've been able to get a lot of people their full money back from a manufacturer, or at least get the manufacturer to provide some trade assistance money to pay the difference so that they could get out of a bad car. And so we put them into a different car, and then 4 or 5 years later, they're back. And they're back because they trust us and they like us. And that's what you want. Now, there's some people out there, you may be listening, you say, I don't care. I don't need any more friends. I don't need to make friends with somebody who works at a car dealership. Yeah, you do. Because someday you're going to need them. Your car's going to break. You're going to need another car. Wouldn't you just like to be able to walk into a car dealership or drive into a car dealership and look up and see a familiar face and feel that they're going to take good care of you? And even if they do mess up, that they're going to make it right. Because if you don't know them and they're strangers, then there's no emotional attachment. And if you go off on somebody, like a service advisor or a salesperson or whatever, and you create a scene, they don't really want to help you. A lot of people don't. I mean, if somebody gets up in your face and they're cussing and yelling and screaming in front of other customers and stuff, do you really want to help them? Well, you have to. Well, no, you don't. You really don't. I mean, if somebody is creating a big enough scene, I've thrown out several in my life. I had this one guy, he was really upset, and I said, sir, you're just going to have to leave. We didn't do anything wrong. I don't know why you're so upset. So he storms out of the dealership, jumps in his car, backs up, and slams into a light pole that we have in the lot. And he comes running back in there. He's really mad now. And he's looking for me. He said, what are you going to do about my car? And I said, what do you mean? He said, come out here and look what happened. So I go out there and look. And he's smashed up. He's driving a Monte Carlo. It was some time ago. And he's smashed up against the light pole. And I look at it and I said, Why did you do that? He said, that light pole should not be there. Folks, that light pole was a good 50 feet from the back of the parking place where he was. But apparently he was so mad he accelerated too much and missed the brake pedal or something. He almost hit one of my vehicles. You know what that guy did? He sued me. He sued me. He wanted me to give him a new car. I think it was $50,000 in mental anguish or whatever you call it. And, you know, he was suing me. He wanted me to eliminate that pole. So I just called my attorney. I said, this will be fun. I said, we need to go to court on this one. He said, okay. And he studied the case. He said, yeah, you're right. This will be fun. So we went to court and went before the judge, and it was hilarious. He represented himself, and he got blistered by my attorney and the judge. And you know what? When it was all said and done, he walked over to me. He said, well, no hard feelings. Can I come out and get my oil changed? I said, sure. Just watch out for the light poles. I'll be back in just 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so my office looks like a junkie museum. It's not junky. It's just a lot of stuff in it, but it's all things that I like. And it's a funny thing is the effect that it has on people to come to visit, whether they're trying to buy a car or they have some kind of a problem. They enjoy it, and I do too. And I am very hopeful over time that a lot of these young people that work for me now, that I will be a good example to them and be able to help them really not make the same mistakes that I have seen so many times with other people. If you can just get them to listen, get them to sit down and not just think that this is a business. They go to work, they do their thing, they clock out, they go home. They don't develop any kind of relationship. It's really important not to just have relationships with your customers and your friends and the people that you hang around with, but the people that work for you. It's got to be more than just a transactional relationship. It's got to be personal. If you want them to stick around and you want them to value their workplace, and you don't want to have massive amounts of turnover, and that's a big problem in today's society. Well, thanks for listening to this edition of My Car Guru. I know it's a little different, but I think sometimes it's okay to be different. If you need me, call me, 423-552-2020. If you need a copy of the My Car Guru guidebook, which is like gold, it'll save you a lot of gold, just send me your email address to my cell phone, 423-552-2020, or send me an email to lennylawson2020@gmail.com, and I'll get you a copy really quickly, just in time for Christmas, and I'll see you next time.